Finance Secretary, Revenue Secretary, Sri Gujral, Chairman CBEC, Sri Goel, Member Customs, Sri Thakur, former Chairman, Sri M.G. Abrol, Sri Munjal, members of the Board of CBEC, senior officers, audited chairman and members of the CBEC. First of all, I would like to apologize to all of you for the convenience caused by my delayed arrival to this function. There was a joke that when Columbus landed on the land of America, the first gentleman he came across asked him a question, anything to declare? That is the experience when a foreigner comes to any new land, new country. The customs officers very politely, earlier days it was not so politely, but they were asked anything to declare. Why I am referring this imaginary dialogue? Because many years ago, as Mr. Abrol mentioned, he was then member Customs first when I was the minister in charge of revenue and expenditure, and later on revenue and banking. And perhaps in 1976 he became the chairman after Mr. Jasbir Singh. The important task which was given to the Customs Department was to confront the smugglers and foreign exchange racketeers. An act was passed through ordinance, extraordinary act, which is still on the statute book. But in those days it was one of the most important act, Kopeposa, Conservation of Foreign Exchange and Prevention of Smuggling Activities Act. The primary responsibility of the Customs Department was to face the challenges posed by organized smuggling across the sea, Arabian Sea. And the reason for purchasing the speedboats was, it was thought, and that idea also came from the department itself, because department has always the talent, I have noticed, particularly in the revenue department, whether it is in the custom side or on the income tax side. I am happy to have this opportunity of celebrating 50th year of the enactment of the Customs Act. But as Secretary Gujral and Mr. Abrol mentioned to you, this is the modern act of 1962 as the modern act of Income Tax Act of 1961. But the first board was established by the East India Company, and the act was made in 1786. Therefore, India is one of the countries which has the experiences of having the customs administrations, customs rules, existence of the customs for more than 200 years. Various acts enacted in the 19th century and subsequently amended were ultimately put into one act, that is Indian Customs Act of 1962. As income tax has celebrated 150th year last year, because the first Income Tax Act was enacted by the British government. Still it was under the control of the, by that time it was taken over by the British government by Queen's proclamation after the first Battle of Independence in 1856. 1861, the Income Tax Act was enacted. Therefore, this department has a very long history, and they were mandated with the task of curbing the smuggling activities. I still remember a considerable time of Parliament was also devoted on how the administration, government is dealing with these issues. We have come a long way. As Chairman CBEC mentioned that when this act was enacted in 1962, customs duty was only 250 crores. In the first budget of the independent India, which was presented by Shanmukham Chetty on 14th of November, because country got independence on 15th August, therefore the financial year was divided. Then the customs duty was only 50 crores, 50 lakhs. Therefore, from 1947 to 2011, we have come a long way from 50 crores, 50 lakhs to 1.47 lakh crores. But still, I am putting pressure on my colleagues in the CBEC, CBDT, and on my behalf, Secretary is constantly spreading his breath on their neck, how to improve the revenue, because our demand and requirement is much more. But apart from the revenue realization, there has been a sea change in the culture. Of course, at that point of time, they had to implement the policies which we had that. Our policy at that point of time was not export promotion, but import substitution. Therefore, strict control over the unauthorized import, illegal import was the task of the Customs Department. And when there is foreign exchange manipulation, smuggling of those commodities which are in short supply, and gold smuggling, of course, was an important task which was given to them, and they were able to prevent it substantially. If somebody looks at some researchers, as today the finance minister's job is to look at the screen on the market movement, stock exchange, rupee appreciation, depreciation, what is happening at Tokyo market, Shanghai market, at the beginning of the office hour, and at the end of the office hour, what is happening in New York market because of the time differences. In those days, as revenue minister, my first job was to take the accounts of number of searches, seizures, quantum, how much has been, and regularly there had been series of arrests and preventive detention under Kopeposa. Therefore, the short point which I am trying to drive at, that today we have changed with the liberalized economy, and our process has always been calibrated. We were never swept by the winds of changes. When we took the decision of changing the policy, we took it after a good deal of debate, deliberation, discussions, debate in public. The process of change has been slow, no doubt, but it has been steady. In the last 2 decades, there has been sea changes in trade, investment, international trade. Therefore, customs also had to adjust itself, and its role has become much more of the facilitator than as regulator. Some amount of regulation is obviously needed, but much more importance is being laid how to facilitate the trade and industry, how to ensure that we can promote the activities, keeping that in view. On the direct tax side, you are aware, we are having the direct tax code to ensure that the entire legal system becomes transparent, simple, easily understandable, and also predictable. Similarly, in the areas of customs also, a modern custom administration should function on the principles of transparency, predictability, and strong legal process and productive use of information technology. I expect the department to enhance its efficiency further and deliver on all fronts with a focus on some strategic objectives. These strategic objectives include increasing competitiveness of Indian business by use of modern customs operating methods, facilitating legitimate trade by improving customs control systems and reducing administrative burden, enhancing protection of the society against safety and security risks by developing effective risk management methods and ensuring protection of financial interests of the country, and enhancing cooperation with the customs administrations, governmental agencies, and with the business, aiming at improved compliance. I am happy that Customs Department has accepted all the necessary steps and to take full advantage of the information technology and the necessity, relevance and utilizations of connecting it and putting it on the IT platform. Yes, at one point of time, if in the early 70s of the last century, the serious challenges were thrown by the smugglers to the Customs Department. Today the challenge is of not less magnitude. Drug traffickers, arms smugglers, fake currency carriers, because with the change of time, those who want to cause harm to the country, to the economy, and it is an accepted policy that if you do not have good relations with a country, if you have animosity, you can destroy the country by smuggling fake currency notes, by destroying the economy of that country, by destroying the character of the people, by smuggling narcotic drugs. Therefore, the challenges of the Customs Department in its shape, in its form, in its contents are changing from time to time, but every time it is becoming more challenging, more difficult. But I am happy that on every occasion, our boys and girls in the Customs Department are coming up to the occasion, and I have no doubt that at their hands, the security of the country in their mandated areas is quite safe. With these words, I congratulate the department on its 50th year, but you have a long tradition of more than 2 centuries behind you. Move ahead. We are with you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for the patience.